because the task first is for Sri Lanka to stabilize its economy. How do we do that? This crisis that we face today is a crisis which I look back in history and I found that I did not see such a crisis during the British time or the Dutch time or the Portuguese time. And the Portuguese period was one of warfare. The only similar situation that I could come to was the collapse of the Rajarata economy, which led to the drift of civilization back here into the southwest. It's of such proportion. It's hit us everywhere. And how do you go out of it? When the Thai crisis took place, it was called the Tom Yum Goong crisis. I don't know what we call this. Maybe a hodda. That's what we have finally become with our economic. During the 2009 crisis, 8-9 crisis, it was again the IMF. Whether we like it or not, we have to deal with the IMF. This time IMF minus Stanley Fischer. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing is for each of you to decide. Then first and foremost, we have to enter into the standby agreement with the staff level agreement with IMF. Now this is an issue which the whole parliament has to consider. If any member of parliament or any party says we are not for it, then we have the right to ask, what is your solution? What is your alternative? Because all parties must abide by this agreement. When we are negotiating with the IMF, one of the biggest issues that we have to face is government changes and the policies change. It's certainly going to be a difficult time. I won't say no. The first 6 months will be difficult. It will be a period which we have not seen before. But we all have to go through it. If anyone has a formula, proposals that will make it easier, certainly, I think we should hear it, and the parliament could then decide between these two sets of proposals. Otherwise, we have no other way except to bite the bullet. So how do we prepare ourselves? And in doing so, before we get on to the recovery, is the very important issue of the social, economic dimensions of the crisis. We have over 6 million people who are being malnourished. More and more are being unemployed. How long will it last? And how are we going to support them? We are setting aside some additional money from the government, but you will find demands in companies that are doing well for some form of allowance or a salary increase. But to implement these reforms, to implement the restructuring, you need stability.